Turning now to your community focus, spending more time outside means you are likely to come into contact with those spring and summertime bugs. And May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month. So we're talking ticks with Dr. Suzanne Bornschein from the Department of Health. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the basics here. Remind us, doctor, how do we best protect ourselves against ticks?
Great question. So it is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, and one of the things we know about Rhode Island, like much of the Northeast, is we are a high incidence Lyme disease state. And so what that means is we have more ticks than many other parts of the country with Lyme, as well as some other tick-borne illnesses. And because of that, we also know that we have higher incidence because of the change in the weather that we're having.
Oh. Okay, so lucky us, we have more ticks, more prevalence of Lyme disease. If we're going to be spending time outside, I mean, I've read things like wear your socks on the outside of your pants. Is that the best line of defense from a tick bite?
Great questions. Well, that is one of the things you can do is tuck your pants into your socks. You can spray your clothing with permethrin as well. And you can also avoid, if you're going to be outdoors and hiking around, you can avoid the high grass areas, lots of piles of leaves. Try to stay on the path.
So I've found a tick on myself before, even though I don't go hiking or, wander into any of those really grassy areas. Seems like it's pretty common. What do you do with the tick once you remove it from your body?
Great idea. So best thing is to take a pair of tweezers if you have them. And you want to grasp them as close as you can to your body. So not from the end, but right when they're inserted into the skin, and remove, and then you can throw them away. You can toss them away. And if you don't have tweezers, it's perfectly fine to take a tissue or a cloth and remove them with your fingers.
Okay, so remove them cleanly and right into the trash, and you should be fine. If someone does have a bite, how soon after they spot the tick embedded in them are they at risk for Lyme disease?
Great question. In general, we use around 36 hours as the mark where, if they're attached, where we start to think about whether or not we want to think about prophylaxis or prevention of Lyme disease.
So if you think you've had a tick bite for around 3 days, you should really call your doctor.
You really should.
And what are the signs and symptoms of Lyme?
Signs and symptoms of Lyme disease can be very much like the flu. You may have fever, you may feel achy, you may have a headache. Lyme disease specifically can be associated with a rash, a rash that's called erythema migrans, and it looks a little bit like a bullseye rash. It has a central cleared area. Not everybody with Lyme disease gets that, though.
Okay, so that's important to note. And besides Lyme, there are other tick-borne illnesses. What are they, and what should people know about those?
Right, so there are many other tick-borne illnesses in Rhode Island, including, just to name a few, anaplasmosis, babesiosis, some complicated names.
Oh boy.
And we definitely see higher incidence of those tick-borne diseases in Rhode Island as well.
All right, so important, if you're spending time outside, protect yourself against tick bites. Dr. Suzanne Bornschein from the Department of Health, thanks so much for being here on 12 News at 4.
Thank you for having me.